Yo, what's up, guys? Nintendo in here, back with another video. Today we have a little bit of a discussion topic on our hand. I would have done this earlier, but this literally happened as I was going into work this morning. I got there, I think, at 8, and this literally happened at like 8:30. So today, Genetic Apex A1, so the little mini set for the first Genetic Apex at A1 has been officially revealed, and it'll be called Mythical Island. So I believe it's the description for the YouTube video said it's going to be 80 cards with 5 EXs and new immersives. So I can only assume that the Mew EX that we're going to be looking at later, I'm just going to assume that the background that it has will be its what you call it? It's immersive. First off, it's gorgeous, really. It looks so beautiful. I love the colors, the island setting. We have some awesome new Pokemon kind of coming into the mix. So this is a little web article of some higher quality images of the cards. Some of them are going to be real. It says 14 of them were really shown throughout the trailer that we got a good look on. So I'm going to go through it. Based on this and what we think I can think of, we're going to have some interesting meta shifts. So usually right now you run into the usual Pikachu EX, the Mewtwo, a few others. Kind of like I usually do, like the Greninja Starmie. That's pretty high up there. Charizard is popular. So yeah, we're gonna have some interesting meta shifts. So it's gonna start with a couple basics. Let's start with Snivy. First off, not bad for 2 energy. I'm not too sure what Bulbasaur is. I can pull it up right now, but 70 HP is actually one of the more healthy cards in terms of basics. 2 energy for 40 damage is kind of iffy, unless Servine also calls for 2 energy and it goes up to maybe like 100 HP, 2 energy, and it's like 60, but it might be 3 energy. So that won't make it as useful. But if I go into TCG Pocket right now and go to my grass deck, Bulbasaur is 70. It's the same thing. So it's 70 HP, 2 energy. It's literally just the same thing as Bulbasaur. But we'll have to see what Servine and Superior can do. Next up is Morlul, 60 HP, 20 for grass. Who knows what we don't know what Shiinotic is going to do, but Morlul is here now. Now we have our first pretty much game changer card, but it really depends. We have Mew EX. The Mew for getting every Kanto Pokemon in Genetic Apex is rather underwhelming. So this one being in the game is a lot better. First off, like I said earlier, gorgeous card art. You start with it's 130 HP, 1 energy for 20 damage. Not too bad. But its third ability is very interesting with 3 colorless energy, so you can run this in like a hybrid deck, like a psychic dark deck or whatever you would like to run. 3 colorless energy, it says you choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon attacks and use it as this attack. So I was thinking something different. So this one actually just kind of nasty. So this doesn't really seem like an early game card to me. This is a card you probably rack up on the bench and then you bring in and you can literally use whatever attack. But it depends on the opponent too, which may be some very interesting off meta strategies. Someone may be running like a non EX, but there's still non EX attacks that do a lot of damage. But it's going to be interesting to see how this gets applied, whether it be just bringing this out against Mewtwo and just because thing is, you I don't know if you use the opposing Pokemon's effect as well. It might just be the attack, but if it's the full effect, it could be weird. For example, if we bring it out against a Mewtwo EX and use Side Drive on it, um, are you gonna lose the 2 energy and go back to 1 energy for Genome, or is it gonna stick? If it's gonna stick at 3, that's pretty busted depending on the card. If you can just come in and just instantly one shot anything with Crimson Storm and not lose 2 energy. Or if it does use the effect, the positives. For example, if you bring this in against a Wigglytuff and you use its power, that's 80 damage, and you sleep it. The Pokemon, maybe you want to use a little bit of off meta or something like a non EX. You go Articuno and paralyze something. Um, Maybe you can do like a counter setup. You start with this against Meowth, But that's 3 energy. It wouldn't be really worth it at that time because you'd just be using Psy Shot until you get it up and it'll basically be dead. But it's gonna be really interesting to see how Mew is run in the metagame. Like I said, we'll have to see if it does literally a copy paste of the attack, whether you lose the energy and whatnot. But that's gonna be all right. Next up is Blue. Blue is kind of like a reverse Giovanni. So instead of adding more damage you're doing to opponents, you are actually reducing the damage you take for the next turn. Um, I could see this is pretty niche. Um, would I want this as my one supporter per turn? Probably not. When you have cards like Giovanni, like Sabrina, Misty, Blaine, etc. I don't really see much of a value. So maybe you could be able to slot one blue in your deck. For example, if you are at that 10 HP threshold where Giovanni would come clutch, because I never thought adding extra 10 damage would be as impactful as it is, but it really can be. So, Giovanni dependent decks, or just in general, I guess this could be useful. I mean, if you. Any Pokemon like Arcanine, I know Arcanine can one shot Pikachu EX, so maybe using that to not get one shot would be useful. Um, I think Machamp still one shots it due to the weakness. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how Blue and Giovanni coexist with each other. It's like, oh, you're gonna take the -10. Well, guess what? Now we're just doing regular 10 damage. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Next up, we have our first alternate art card. It's Vaporeon. Vaporeon is very interesting. Healthy card, 120 HP. 60 damage for 3 energy is okay, but it has an ability called Washout, where it says as often as you like, during your turn, you may move a water energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active. So this looks like something you would keep in the back as like a Magneton, because Magneton adds energy each turn to itself, and then you can use what's his name? Lieutenant Surge to move that energy onto like a Raichu and do the big Thunderbolt for 140. So this will be really good with cards like Lapras, not the EX Lapras that was the promo, but the other one that has the 20 damage Hydro Pump, but if you have a certain amount of energy, it'll be like 100. And then for Blastoise, because Hydro Bazooka does an extra 60 if you have more than 5 energy. So pairing this, if you get a good Misty on this, you could just move energy all around. And it says move a water energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active. So it doesn't sound like it has to be all three. You could like, well then again, you can't really move it side to side because it's to your active. So yeah, I was thinking maybe it could be like a weird kind of Inferno Dance kind of thing where you can just move them around, but it's only to your active. But yeah, still gonna be useful for like a Blastoise, Gyarados, any high energy water cards or things that require more energy to do an extra point of damage would be um, extremely helpful. So that's going to be really fun to see how that adds to the meta. Another alt art card, Dedenne, nice art, but not very useful. It's a starter card, 10 damage, but potential paralysis is nice. I think Pincurchin's the same, but it's guaranteed, but it's 2 energy and 30 damage. I'm not sure on the health threshold, but nothing too crazy there. Same with Execute. This Execute basically has the Find a Friend attack that I think the little baby Nidorans and Caterpie has. I think it's pretty dumb. It's not gonna be used over regular Execute in any way. I don't think, because Executor EX only requires 1 energy to begin with. So unless they come out with a new Executor EX that requires more energy, we'll have to see what happens. We have Delmise, great basic to start. 100 HP, guaranteed 20 damage. But if you have an extra 3, so 4 energy, it'll do 90 in total. But still, 20 damage to start isn't the worst for that health. When you have Pokemon like Kangaskhan, who can do upwards of 60 or 30, but they could also do 0 if you get a bad coin flip. So would you rather go for the coin flip 30 or 60 or the guaranteed 20? Especially since colorless Pokemon don't have any weaknesses, don't apply any weakness. This could maybe do 40 if you have like a water deck. So I don't think it is too bad really. Next up is the card I'm most excited for, is Aerodactyl EX, because of that ability right there. First off, Land Crush is only 2 energy for 80. That's very good. It's kind of like Starmie. Starmie is 2 energy for 90, but it's 130 HP. This is 140. But that ability, Primeval Law. Your Pokemon cannot play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve. So if you get this thing out early, before they can get any of those 3 stages online, one basics won't really work. Like if you go against a Mewtwo player or Articuno, Zapdos, any legendary birds, that's probably not gonna work well. But if they have like Charmander out front, that's gonna be tough if they. But granted, there's another card coming up later that'll really help with that, or just regular X speeding out. But still, stopping any evolutions, especially if their evolution will, because when you evolve, you heal status conditions. So maybe you can pair up Aerodactyl with like Wheezing. Since this is colorless, it could take either energy. That would be really cool. So you can bring this out and stop them from evolving and getting rid of the poison, to forcing them to retreat. Um, yeah, it's gonna be really cool to see how this works. Another all art Marshadow Revenge. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, this does 60. So just basic, guaranteed 100 damage. One shots Pikachu EX. Um, Weak to Psychic. It's gonna be a decent card. It could be really interesting late game just to have. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Larvesta, I love me some Volcarona. We didn't see the Volcarona, we just have Larvesta. It's kind of like Heatmore. I think it's maybe even the same attack name, but I think Heatmore's only 1 energy. I could be wrong though. But let's see what Larvesta does. We have a new Magmar. This one fits Blaine a lot more than the other one does, because Blaine, the other Magmar, is 50 damage, 2 energy, plus 30 with Blaine, that's 80. This one's 80 plus 30 is 110, but you discard both energies. So that overall still is not as good as the Ninetales, but this is a basic, so you won't have to potentially get unlucky searching for an evolution. So that could be maybe a quicker start, but overall I think Ninetales is just going to be better, because that's going to be 120 and you only lose 1 energy compared to 2. They didn't show the whole thing, but this is a new basic Pikachu. It does 10 damage plus more for each bench Pokemon. It's just like Pikachu EX, just a different version of it. This one's going to be very interesting. So there's a Tauros EX. So it's doing 40 damage for 3 energy, but if they have an EX Pokemon, it does 80 more. So that's 120, like I said earlier. One-shotting Pikachu EX. The reason I am bringing that up is not only is it, I think, the lowest HP for an EX, it's hard meta right now because it's very easy to get set up. Only 2 energy and doing 90 damage just for having bench Pokemon is very useful. So this could be good and pairs up with the next card very well. We have Leaf during this. So it's basically like a souped up X speed. It'll be 2 retreat less instead of 1. And you can pair this up with high retreat cost cards like Wheezing if you don't have Koga. So this frees up a spot where not only do you not have to use Koga, but you could use something else that's high energy cost, like Onyx. Depths could be better, and any other the high retreat Pokemon, maybe like Kangaskhan or something like that. So gonna be interesting to see. And of course the 2 energy ones, they'll they'll just be good. Like Mewtwo EX, I think is 2 to retreat, so you won't be losing any energy. So it looks like that's all the cards. You can see the card pack. Like I said, it's just such a beautiful one. And this is one of the covers for the. It looks like Stonejourner, Beheeyem, and Superior. And then you have more of the Snivy, and then finally you have the brand new solo battles that you'll be getting. So you'll be able to get a bunch of hourglasses and shop tokens and Stardust to use to open these brand new packs. But that was it for the little discussion I had for Genetic Apex mini set. It comes out the 16th, which I believe I am doing work. So that's going to be really fun. Hopefully it's maybe Sunday night into Monday or Monday into Tuesday, which either way works fine for me. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the little discussion that we had for Mystical Island. I'm looking forward to it. Be on the lookout over the weekend into next week for some streams. We're going to be doing pack openings and battles, going through the solos. It's gonna be real fun. But until next time, take care.